Let's talk about the vehicle test drive, because nowadays with technology, you can go online and you can study cars. You can know everything there is to know about vehicles, but you don't really know it till you drive it. So the test drive is still very important. You can do that studying online. You can get that info. That's great. But then when you go in and you go to take that test drive, there are things you need to do. It's just as important as knowing what kind of engine your car has. One of the main things with the test drive is it's a test drive. It's short. You're not driving cross country, but it doesn't have to be so short that you don't get an actual feel for the car. It's important that with your test drive that you actually get to test out the vehicle. So some of the things that you definitely need to do, and this is one that I don't think a lot of people do, because you're in a car, it's not yours, and so you drive it grandma style. You need to actually drive that car. You need to give it some gas, make it shift hard, feel how it shifts. And this is especially important on maybe like a used vehicle that's what you're going for. The other thing you can do is, since it's such a short thing, since it is a test drive, you can actually ask the car salesman or the person that you're driving with if you can have a longer drive, so that you can get a feel for how it acts on, I want a kind of bumpy road right now. See how it acts on bumpy roads versus the smooth roads versus different speeds. Give yourself that time, and you can ask for that time with the salesperson. And another thing that I think is just as important is make some turns in your car. You're not going to be driving in a straight line all the time, and if you're driving in a straight line all the time, you're not really feeling how that steering and how your suspension's going to be acting. So if you have curvy roads, which I don't know around here in this town, so the best I can do is come into a circle and drive around in a circle to get a feel for how the car is moving. And this car is obviously great because it's a brand new 2015 Nissan Sentra. So, but even with new cars, you still want to know how they drive. You want to get a feel for the vehicle. So take it on windy roads if you can. Now, another thing when you take that test drive that's really important, and a lot of people don't think about this, because sometimes you do it without thinking. You take somebody with you. You don't do that test drive by yourself for a couple of reasons. Obviously, safety. If you're buying a used car, you don't want to take a drive with some random stranger. But another thing is if you're the driver of the vehicle, this is the seat you know. You don't get a feel for that passenger seat, or even for how big the back seat is. So if you bring somebody with you, they can be your second set of eyes. They can listen to how the car sounds from the back seat, because there are sounds that you may not be hearing up here in the front. Sounds from the muffler or from the trunk. Maybe there's a person in there. But they'll be hearing things that you're not going to be able to hear up here in the driver's seat, and feeling things that you're not going to feel. So take somebody with you. And one more point that you should do with a vehicle that you're test driving to get a feel for the car, see how much you like it, and also check the blind spots. Make sure that you can actually drive this vehicle, is parallel park. I know that's like words people don't want to hear. They're like, oh, I hate parallel parking. Do parallel park, because that makes you use those side mirrors and see where the other vehicles are around you. It makes you get a feel for how big the car is. If you can parallel park it, great. If not, go park it somewhere else. Just pull into a regular parking space and then get out of the car and take a look and see how far you are from those front lines. My wife, we got a new vehicle last year, and she would park, and she was always like 2 feet away from the curb, because the vehicle that we got had a shorter front end than the van that we'd previously had. And so she was always stopping short because she couldn't see over the top of this car. So take the vehicle, parallel park it, regular park it, whatever you got to do to get a feel for how big the vehicle is. So those are a few ideas of things you can do to take a test drive the right way, so that when you're done with that test drive, you're not like, oh, I wish I would have done more, or, oh, I wish I knew this about the vehicle. But make sure you do those things. Do the parallel parking, take some curves, give the car some gas, make it work, and bring somebody with you so they can give you a second opinion on how this vehicle really is. And by all means, do that studying online. Find out about the vehicle. Get the specs and ratings and reviews. See what people think. But do the test drive, because the test drive, that's the fun part. That's the important part, is how the car actually handles and how you feel about the vehicle. So go out there, take test drives, have fun.